everyone, I'm Ava and this is Caelia. Welcome to Ava's Sports Talk. Today's another kind of year-by-year video on the Winter Paralympics. So I hope you enjoy this video and let's get started. The first official Winter Paralympic Games were held in 1976 in Örnsköldsvik in Sweden. Unlike the Summer Paralympics, which initially focused only on wheelchair users, these games included athletes with various physical disability, such as amputees and visual impairments. A technical pioneer from these games was Austrian skier Sepp Zwicknagel, I can't pronounce that name, I'm so sorry, who utilized a 3-track skiing method using 1 ski and 2 outriggers for balance. The inaugural program consisted of 2 core sport categories, alpine skiing and cross-country skiing, with 250 athletes representing 16 different countries. The 1980 Paralympics took place in Caelia, Norway, and saw the inclusion of ice sledge racing as a medal event for the first time. This high-speed discipline allowed athletes to compete on skates while seated on sledges using poles for propulsion. The most successful athlete of the games was Norway's Britt Madsen Øyen. I'm butchering his name, I'm so sorry, who won 3 gold medals in ice sledge racing. Participation grew to 299 athletes from 18 different nations, and the games began to demonstrate the potential for winter sports to reach a broader audience through specialized adaptive equipment. In 1984, the Winter Paralympics were held in Innsbruck, Austria. These games were notable for featuring sit skiing as a demonstration event, which would eventually revolutionize the access for alpine skiing for wheelchair users. Reinhild Müller from Germany emerged as a dominant force in alpine skiing, winning 3 gold medals. Her performance in Innsbruck was the start of a legendary career that eventually included 19 Paralympic gold medals. And despite the growth in competitive standards, the 1984 Games remained largely amateur in their organization and funding, which is similar as the Olympics. They were also mostly amateur. For the second consecutive cycle, the Winter Paralympics were held in Innsbruck, Austria, in 1988, after the original host Yugoslavia was unable to organize the event. These games saw the debut of para-biathlon, a discipline combining cross-country skiing with target shooting. Knut Longström of Norway was the standout athlete, winning 4 gold medals across both cross-country skiing and sledge racing. The 1988 Games continued to refine the classification system, ensuring that athletes with similar levels of physical impairment competed directly against one another. That's not English. The 1992 Winter Paralympics in Albertville marked the first time the event utilized the same venues as the Winter Olympic Games. This integration provided the Paralympic athletes with access to world-class infrastructure and increased the professional profile of the competition. The American skier Sarah Will made her debut in Albertville, winning gold and beginning her journey to become a legend in sit skiing. The game featured 365 athletes from 24 different nations, reflecting the movement's expansion into Eastern Europe following the geopolitical changes of the early 1990s, aka the end of USSR. The 1994 Lillehammer Games are frequently cited as the gold standard for Winter Paralympic organization and atmosphere. Those games introduced para-ice hockey, also known as sled-hockey, to the permanent program, which quickly became a flagship team event of the winter cycle. While he was an Olympic speed skater, Norway Johan Olav Koss became a significant figure for the Paralympic through his advocacy and donation of his prize money to the Paralympic cause. The 1994 Games successfully integrated the local community, resulting in a record attendance and a celebratory atmosphere. The 1998 Paralympics in Nagano, Japan were the first to be held outside of Europe. This expansion to Asia saw participation rise to 571 athletes from 32 different nations, marking a significant milestone in globalization of the movement. The American alpine skier Sarah Billmeyer provided one of the most resilient performances of the Games, winning 3 gold medals despite suffering a severe crash. American alpine skier Sarah Billmeyer provided one of the most resilient performances of the game, winning 3 gold medals despite suffering a severe crash earlier in the week. The Nagano Games were also the first to feature a massive increase in media rights sale, bringing the Winter Paralympics to a global television audience. The 2002 Winter Paralympics were held in Salt Lake City, Utah, and saw a massive increase in television coverage across North America. These games were held under heightened security following September 11th attacks, but maintain a high level of competition and public engagement. American athlete Chris Waddell became the first man to win medals in both the Summer Paralympics in track and the Winter Paralympics in skiing. The 2002 Games utilized the same high-tech venues as the Olympics, further closing the gap between the two movements in terms of technical requirements. The 2006 Games in Turin, Italy, focused on the theme of breaking barriers, utilizing urban venues to bring the Games closer to the general public. Wheelchair curling was added as a medal sport for the very first time, providing a strategic team event to the winter program. German biathlete Verena Bentele, who is visually impaired, won 2 gold medals in Turin, eventually finishing her career with a total of 12 Paralympic golds. These games saw 476 athletes from 38 different nations and emphasized the cultural integration of the host city with the Paralympic spirit. The 2010 Winter Paralympics in Vancouver and Whistler recorded a record-breaking attendance and featured the first ever Paralympic Fun Zone to engage fans. Canada topped the medal table for the first time, fueled by strong performance in team sports and alpine events. The skier Brian McKeever became a national icon in Canada, winning 3 gold medals on home soil. McKeever had the name in both the Olympic and Paralympic teams, though he ultimately only competed in the Paralympics, highlighting the elite skill level of para-athletes. The 2014 Games in Sochi were characterized by the highest standard of technical skiing ever seen in the Paralympics. Para snowboard made its debut as a discipline within alpine skiing, reflecting the modern trend towards extreme sports. Roman Petushkov of Russia achieved an unprecedented feat by winning 6 gold medals in a single Winter Paralympics across various biathlon and cross-country events. Despite the high level of competition, the Games were impacted by the geopolitical tensions surrounding the host nation. The 2018 Winter Paralympics in Pyeongchang saw a historical moment as North Korea sent athletes to the Paralympics for the Winter Paralympics for the very first time, and the host nation South Korea captured its very first gold medal in a winter sports for the Paralympics when Shin Yi-hyun won the 7.5-kilometer cross-country skiing event. Slovakia's Henrietta Farkasova, a visually impaired skier, was a standout athlete, winning 4 gold medals and 1 silver. And these games were noted for their high accessibility standards and for the passionate local support, particularly during the para-ice hockey tournament. Side note for the para-ice hockey, Korea did win bronze on home soil behind USA and Canada. In 2022, Beijing became the first city to host both Summer and Winter Paralympics. China dominated the medal table for the very first time of the Winter Paralympic history, winning 18 gold medals, and due to COVID-19 pandemic, the Games were held in a closed-loop environment. The American athlete Oksana Masters delivered a historic performance, winning 7 medals in a single game across biathlon and cross-country skiing events. This Olympiad saw the continued use of artificial snow and specialized climate-controlled venues to manage the dry, cold conditions of the region. 7 gold medals in a single game! The 2026 Paralympics will be held across northern Italy, returning to the country 20 years after Turin 2006. These games marked the 50th anniversary of the first Winter Paralympics of 1976, and a new medal event, which is wheelchair curling mixed doubles, will be featured for the very first time. In a significant shift for international para-ice hockey, the South Korean national team failed to qualify for the 2026 Paralympics after finishing 7th at the 2025 World Championship, where they were forced into a final qualification tournament in Norway in November 2025, and in a decisive match on November 10th, Korea lost 2-1 to Slovakia, marking the first time since the 2010 debut, including the bronze in Pyeongchang 2018, that the Korean para-ice hockey team will not be present at the Winter Paralympics. So I think it was quite a hit. A lot of Korean news talked about it, so that's why I'm mentioning it today. But yeah, it's the first time in a very long time that the Korean para-ice hockey team will not be at the Winter Paralympics. So that ends our roundup year by year for the Winter Paralympics. I hope you enjoyed this video. I am not going to wake up my dog again for the end of this video. And as usual, may your team score many goals this week, and see you next time. Bye!